Good evening, everyone. Wonderful to see so many people in attendance. Welcome to our hearing on the proposed 2017 Public Utilities Operating Budget. Before we begin, I do want to thank everyone for their work in preparation of today's hearing. Department of Public Utilities Director Tracy Davies, Deputy Assistant Director John Ivanek, and also Assistant Director Jonathan Lee, who will be presenting tonight. Thank you all for your work and preparation. I'd also like those members of the public for taking the time to come down to City Hall and those tuning in from home to learn more about this process. I do wish to remind those members of the public who wish to speak to please fill out a speaker slip before the public testimony portion of the hearing. The purpose of the hearing is to review and comment on the proposed 2017 Public Utilities Operating Budget, which is available online at www.columbus.gov/finance. This hearing will be available to the public on the columbus.gov YouTube channel and is currently streaming live online on the CTV website and broadcasting on Time Warner and WOW on Channel 3 and 18Uverse Channel 99. Mr. Lee, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Then I will now turn the presentation over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, Council Member Cinciano. Thank you for allowing me to present the Department of Public Utilities 2017 operating budget. Tonight I prepared a presentation for you on the screen. Just in quick summary, our 17 budget totals $613 million. It is slightly less than 2016 levels, but overall it's a continuation budget of 2016. No major changes in service levels. And again, there's a large emphasis on our continued maintenance of EPA regulatory compliance and our overall mission of providing clean and quality drinking water. As you know, we have a dedicated personnel of over 1,161 employees. Our employees work around the clock, responding to emergencies, outages, and our treatment plants never shut down. We continue to serve about 1 million customers within the City of Columbus and surrounding communities. And as you know, our operation is supported by user fees collected from ratepayers. So my presentation, what I'll do is I'll kind of go over a few of the revenue items, and then I'll get into a few details by division of the expense and then touch on some capital projects that we plan to do in 2017. My first slide there is, as I noted, we have $613 million proposed. It is a decrease of a little less than 1%. You know, you look at it, you break it down, our what I call operations and maintenance, or O&M. That is decreasing overall when you combine all the divisions, but yet our debt service is increasing in the positive range, mainly to support the capital projects we have ongoing right now and past projects. Our authorized strength is not changing. We are currently at 1,290. And as you know, we are continuing our water plant construction projects. Those are ongoing right now. They will continue in 2017 and some into 18 as well. Blueprint Columbus, again, engaging in construction here very shortly and well into construction in 2017. And as you know, I'd like to always say that what some of our budget goals are finding the balance between these operation and maintenance costs, our debt, you know, our cash that's coming in, and what our future rate increases are. We have to balance all that as part of putting together our budget. You know, looking at our revenue, first I'll highlight water revenue. As you can see, over the years from 2010 to 17, it has been increasing. And when you look at water revenues, you break those down, it's 86% of that is made up of water sales. We also have another component of system capacity charges when people tap into our system. That's an indicator of customer growth. And so a lot of the revenue for water is influenced by weather. What changes in weather patterns drive our revenue growth, as well as population growth and overall consumption. And I'll hit on some changes in consumption we've seen over the years and how that impacts revenue. In 2017, we're estimating approximately $198 million in water revenue, and our rate increase that Council recently passed will provide an additional $4.2 million in water revenue. Touching briefly on sewer revenue, as again you can see the trend increasing there. Sewer sales make up about 90% of sewer revenue, and again we have system capacity charges there, an indicator of growth. That comes in at about 2%, and we also have reimbursements that come in from the storm sewer fund. Same factors apply. You know, sewer revenue is driven by water revenue. water consumption, pardon me. And in 2017, we are projecting around $266 million in revenue for sewer, and the rate increase of 3% scheduled for 2017 will provide an additional $6 million for sewer. Storm, the growth there has been increasing over the years, largely due to increased equivalent residential units. We call those ERUs. So we measure household rooftops and commercial properties and impervious pavement, and we apply a rate charge based on that. And over the years, we've seen about a 13% growth over a 5-year period. Those charges are only applied to City of Columbus residents. We don't apply stormwater charges to outside city residents. Next, we have power. We have a division of power that serves about 12,000 customers, both commercial and residential. Commercial revenue makes up the lion's share of that revenue, about 82%, with about 8% made up from residential. And as I'll show you deeper into the presentation, we have purchased power as a significant cost. We'll look at about $57 million of our total budget, and that is power that we purchase on the wholesale market and then resell to our customers. We have seen a decline a little bit in the energy price, in contract energy prices since 2012, and you can see that kind of corresponds to our revenue decline there. In times when we have higher energy prices, in the code, it allows us to pass on some of those costs to our customers, which increases our revenue. However, we are seeing some growth due to our efforts to gain new customers here in 16 and 17. As I noted about consumption, here on this slide, I wanted to kind of portray, we are a growing area. Columbus is seeing population growth, but yet across the country, we are seeing declining water consumption. Households, businesses have a lot of more smart fixtures that consume less water. So a lot of utilities are struggling with declining revenue through reduced consumption, and in our case, population growth. So we're trying to balance, as I said, maintaining our service levels by incorporating, acknowledging these financial dynamics that are going on. My next slide is a little bit more detail on our customer growth. This really only shows water and sewer customers over the years. And as you can see, they've been, over the last 10 years, been growing at a rate of 3 to 3.5%. This graph doesn't show anything about power customers. Those customers have been pretty steady. Over a 10-year period, we've maybe seen a slight decline, maybe from 13,000 around there to 12,500. And again, as stormwater customer growth, that's not portrayed on this, but we've seen quite a lot of growth in equivalent residential units. That's due to more commercial development and larger parking lots and just more impervious surfaces. Just on a whole, the City of Columbus, again, framing the issue, population growth over the years, which requires more demand on city services and utility services, more infrastructure and service requests. Looking at our total budget, I captured this in a pie chart here just to kind of give you a sense of how it's broken down. As I'll explain later in the presentation, a lot of our costs are related to principal and interest, and we also have kind of an even share dedicated to personnel, material supplies, and services. Looking at the division of water specifically, their budget out of the total $613 million is about $197 million. We are proposing a decrease there without any compromise in services. Our budgeted strength there is 535, and our budget will support about 515 full-time equivalents. Chemical budget, our chemical budget is a significant cost to feed and provide quality drinking water, and those usually round out about $18 million a year. Capital equipment obviously is an ongoing expense, maintaining trucks in our fleet, basically for our distribution crews to serve and repair and replace water lines. Our revenue projection for 2017 is around $198 million. It's a little bit higher than 2015 actuals. For the end of the year of 16, we're estimating about $193 million to come in cash revenue. Breaking out water by expense, again, a lot of these are very similar as far as how they're broken out. There's a few divisions that have some variances. but water and sewer kind of have, there's more on the debt and interest, principal and interest on the sewer side than there is the water side, as I'll explain. A little bit of detail on the water as far as the personnel. What makes up our personnel, when you break it down, that 26%, is we have a significant number of employees in our distribution maintenance section. Those are the folks that go out and actually maintain the lines, the breakages, and service, comply with service calls. We also have a customer service center, several staff members there that do our billing and take calls from customers, and we have a large presence in our meter reading and field service crews. We also have significant expenses in our electricity to run the plants, and that would be out of our services, 20%. We also have indirect charges for fleet and administrative overhead. Just a quick slide here to show you kind of how the O&M, operations and maintenance, kind of compares to debt service. They are both increasing over the years. Since 2010 on the water side, we've had, as you know, many projects underway or come online. Our Upground Reservoir was about a $115 million project, and we have a Hapkermeen, Parsons Avenue, and Dublin Road. You total those up, those are about $350 million in water plant improvement projects that make up that growing debt service. Next slide is some of the projects, just real briefly, that are coming online in 2017. We have a yearly program where we replace anywhere from 18 to 25 million in water lines, aging water lines, aging infrastructure there, and we're also looking at going out for construction for standby power, and in the event that we have blackouts, situations like that, there will be no disruption in water treatment services. And we're also looking at a new technology, ultraviolet disinfection. Looking at the Division of Sewers and Drainage, of the $613 million total budget, theirs compromises about $272 million. As noted there on the slide, we are seeing a decrease in operation and maintenance, but yet more increase in debt service, and again, driven by capital projects in compliance with the consent order. When you break that down, the majority of our costs are isolated to our sewer maintenance and operations centers. That's the equivalent of our water distribution, where those fellows are out maintaining our sewer lines and breakages and general maintenance. And our treatment plants, we have operators around the clock monitoring flow and making adjustments. Again, major equipment, always a budgeted item. Those are expensive trucks. We have Vector trucks that go and they clean out our sewer lines. A lot of times those can come in around $250,000 to $350,000 annually. We are going to continue our septic tank elimination program. When we first started this program, we did budget a little bit higher, so we are toning that down in 17 to kind of get more in line with some of our actuals that we've seen. Revenue projections for sewer are around $257 million in 2016, with an increase in 2017 up to $266 million. Again, breaking down sewer by expense, we can see the lion's share there is dedicated to principal at 35% and interest at 17%. Personnel, as I touched on, largely in the plants and the distribution area, and services. Again, those consist of electricity costs to run the plants, natural gas, indirect charges, and things like that for fleet and technology administrative overhead. The sewer division also pays a portion to the water division for billing purposes. Next is just a quick slide on how water and sewer debt service compare. You can see that the sewer in the blue line there is definitely higher than the water debt service over time, and again, that's due to our projected completion of Blueprint around 2035. Operation and maintenance versus debt service costs. Again, I touched on this a little bit about the debt service, and one of the things I wanted to highlight here is, as part of our Blueprint program, as you know, we provided an affordability analysis, and we're required to do that per the EPA. And currently on the sewer side, we're at 58% of debt to budget ratio, and one of the caps that we put in there was about 64%. So we continue to monitor how the debt impacts residents and ultimately, how much they can afford. So we are very aware of that. A few of the capital projects in 2017 on the sewer side is our biosolids land application project, getting away from the incineration process and doing more land application of solids. We also have a chemically enhanced primary treatment process that will increase capacity and provide more of a chemically based treatment process at Southerly. And obviously Blueprint will continue. Right now we have $14 million targeted in 2017. And again, as every year with our CIP, we have various standard sewer line replacements, general construction, and annual lining projects. We are emphasizing more use of our OWDA, Ohio Water Development Authority loans. We try to use that program rather than bonding. We're allowed to defer principal and interest on the OWDA program 6 months after project completion. So that is a real benefit to ratepayers, allowing to spread some of those costs out rather than paying them immediately. Stormwater, real quickly on stormwater, you can see, as I'll show in the next slide, they have a heavy emphasis on services. They really don't have a lot of personnel in this storm sewer budget. They only have 17 full-time positions. And their largest expense is in what we call Character 3. And what the stormwater budget does is it reimburses around $8 to $9 million. We paid the Department of Public Service for street cleaning services with the idea that having clean streets does not allow things to get into our stormwater system and prevents overflows and flooding. We also reimburse, as I'll note here on the next slide here, this is the pie chart, the green section is the services that I'm talking about. We also reimburse the sanitary division, sewers and drains, for internal replacement of storm sewers and in-the-ground type of maintenance from our Sewer Maintenance Operations Center. Overall revenue for 2016 is projected to be about $41 million for storm, a bit higher than 2015 actuals, about 5%. And as you look at storm over the long term, as we engage in Blueprint, one of the components will be an operation and maintenance expense to maintain green infrastructure. So that maintenance, once those things are installed, will come out of the stormwater budget. That could be for contractors or for internal staff. And this, the next slide here, kind of just gives a different graphic summary of some of those reimbursements and internal charges, as noted, that the Storm Sewer Fund pays to other funds. And overall, with our capital projects for stormwater, those projects range anywhere from $1 to $3 million in neighborhoods, in most cases to eliminate stormwater flooding. Our final division that I'll summarize here is our power division. And our power division supports, we have about 96 full-time employees that our budget will support in 2017. And again, most of those personnel are dedicated to those folks out in the field that maintain our power distribution system and our street light system. And projected revenue in 2017 is around $81 million. That's a bit over 3% of our 2016 revenue projection of $79 million. And here on the next slide, I'll show you that materials and supplies component is 69%. That is the purchase power cost of $57 million that I talked about earlier. And finally, my final slide here is our director's office budget. That shows you how things are kind of spread out largely on personnel. Our director's office budget is around $19 million, and what makes that up is we have our human resources staff, our safety staff, we have a GIS. Those folks are actually our line locators that go out and mark utilities in the field. We have 33 staff members there, and we also have a regulatory compliance section. We have some smaller professional services contracts that makes up the 21% in services, not much capital outlay. So with that, Councilmember Cinziano, I will close my presentation and open up for any questions.
Thank you, Assistant Director Lee, for that wonderful presentation and dive into the budget proposal. Do want to recognize Councilmember Harden. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Don't know if you want to start with any questions. If not, I do have a few for you, Assistant Director Lee. Okay. So you mentioned Blueprint Columbus implementation phase began this year. One of the things I saw, and I know will be an ongoing component, is the outreach effort for the program. Can you highlight any costs associated with that outreach, and if that will continue to be a model going forward? I know part of the approach is continuing to learn best practices, so just in terms of what the public can expect as we continue with Project Blueprint.
Sure. Yes, we do have an ongoing outreach program. Right now, we are under contract with a professional firm, a 3-year contract. And what they're doing is they're facilitating meetings for the public. Right now, to date, we've had 10 meetings in Clintonville. We also proposed some more meetings in Clintonville in 2017 as we undergo construction, and also in the other areas that we'll be engaging in 2017, like Linden. Our contractor and also our staff are very much engaged with responding to emails. We get questions. We're very responsive to the public. And I think as we engage with Blueprint, we are going to provide some special touches. We are going to be out there, and people having rain gardens installed in their neighborhoods. We can help with plant selection with the landscape architects and landscape installers. Looking in the forward landscape, we are projecting an outreach cost and a budget around $225,000. That's the component I just talked about in some of those services. We also are going to contribute. We have $1 million dedicated in 2017 specifically for construction management services. So those are going to be more technical folks, engineers, and construction managers that are out there dealing with residents from a technical standpoint and maintaining traffic in the area. So hopefully that answered your question.
It did. Councilmember Harden? Did you?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman, for your leadership and for this hearing. Thank you, Director Lee, for the presentation. Kind of a follow-up or in that direction, we've been really proud of the work that your department has done around Blueprint and using it as a workforce development tool as well. My question is kind of in that vein around public utilities diversity spend. Your department in particular has done good work in making sure that you're contracting with the diverse contracting community that we have in Columbus. Can you talk about those practices, how you guys are going about those, and how you plan to continue that good work in 2017? I know there's been some changes, but how we plan to continue to move forward and continue to be really aggressive to make sure that we are being diverse and inclusive in our spend.
I think that one of the components of Blueprint is we have smaller contracts, okay? And so that will, smaller and multiple contracts where we'll provide a lot of opportunities for contractors that might not otherwise have those opportunities. And I think we're going to have a variety of skills. There's going to be a variety of skill sets that are going to be needed with these contracts. The components, we're lining laterals, we're installing sump pumps, we're building green infrastructure, these rain gardens. So that's going to take a variety of contractors to do that. We've also partnered with Columbus State. And what we do is we have a training program there where people can sign up for learning the basics of green infrastructure, and they gain experience and hands-on field training. And so what we do is in our contracts, we are recognizing this certificate that they would achieve through this program as qualifying past experience as far as evaluating the contract bid. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember. shift a little, Assistant Director, Utilities has sought and continues to seek funding for projects via the Ohio Water Development Authority, a source of below-market rate financing. Does the department plan to continue or increase its use of this financing to save additional dollars in the future?
Yes, absolutely. We dedicate, when we look at our capital program, we work closely with the Auditor's Office and the Department of Finance and Management, and we target the OWDA, the EPA loan program as much as possible. We try and nominate every construction project that is eligible, every design project that is eligible. So if you look at our total capital program, we're about 60% loan funded, 40% bond funded. So if you look at the next 6 years, we probably have about $2.8 billion planned for this type of financing. So again, it saves ratepayers dollars by allowing us to defer the principal and interest 6 months after project completion, rather than starting to pay the principal and interest immediately once the bonds are sold.
Thank you for that explanation. One issue I know I've heard a lot about this year, I know Councilmember Harden has looked and addressed a little bit, is the issue of clean water, and something that's fallen within the department. We've had hearings, further discussion about it. Can you just continue to describe what resources or commitment we have in the city of Columbus to continue to keep our water safe?
Yes, we are very committed to keeping our water safe and clean and improving water quality. And as you know, right now we've got significant resources dedicated to improving our plant. We have 3 water treatment plants that are currently all under construction right now. And we also have backup water supply through our upground reservoir in the event of drought conditions. And those water plant projects basically are improving treatment processes through what they call ozone, you may be familiar with that, and ultraviolet disinfection. You know, and as time goes on, there's various organisms that adapt, and we have to combat those. And that's pretty much the trend with any kind of water utility, is you have to upgrade your infrastructure as organisms change and get resilient to things. And so that will help eliminate harmful bacteria. You know, we're moving, we've had some issues with nitrates and things like that, and taste and odor events. And, you know, with the taste and odor events, those are seasonal things caused by, say, algae blooms. There's a lot of information on our website. There really is no health concerns with that. And what we're doing right now is we are treating for that through what we call powder activated carbon. So we push that through the treatment process to help eliminate some of those concerns.
You mentioned rates, and something we did highlight when we went through the rate hearing was offering low-income and senior discounts on residential sewer and water bills. Is there a possibility in the future of even further expanding these discounts for residents for whom it's difficult to keep up with rising utility costs? Also, just generally the budget impact that offering these discounts have on the overall department's budget.
I think that that's something that we could consider in 2018 as we go through the course of 2017 and prepare for our rates for 2018 and any kind of changes to the program. We consider that. I think our program is pretty modeled, comparable to other discount programs in water and sewer utilities. In most cases, they are offering some form of a discount. There are certain income thresholds and things like that. I think you'll find, which may be an option, is we could increase those discounts. Like, for instance, we offer a 20% commodity reduction for low-income qualifiers. You see some cities offering 25%. Same with the senior discount. They are the service fee is waived, and there could be some additional commodity charges a percentage of the commodity charge that could be adjusted as well. There's also some qualifying criteria that might be reviewed as well, perhaps loosen some of the requirements there. You know, you look at what is the budget impact, what does it cost to provide these discounts. You're probably looking in the range of around $1.6 million annually for that.
Appreciate that. And I only have one more question. It's something that's come up recently, and I think we're going to continue to see attention and activity. But can you talk about the city's LED street lighting initiative? The department just concluded a pilot program in Clintonville. I'm hoping you can talk a little bit how LED lighting will impact the city in the future and potential resources for that impact.
Sure. Our goal at the current time is to fully engage in LED street lighting. And as you mentioned, in Clintonville, we did do a pilot project in the North Ridge Road area to kind of gauge community input. What do they like? We had some different lights there of different intensity, and so we gauged what people liked, and they gave us some feedback. And what we'll do is we'll take that feedback and we'll incorporate that into our overall specifications, which will be a requirement whenever contractors bid on our streetlights. We'll say we want, you know, X number of lumens for these LED streetlights. So we hope to finalize our specifications there. Also, one of our goals and related to the Smart City project is that we continue to install streetlights that have LED with the possibility of some Wi-Fi capabilities that would be open to the public. So once we get these LED streetlights, our goal is to see if the Wi-Fi would follow that. And recently we did solicit some statement of qualifications from contractors to look at what we want to do is an LED streetlight modernization project, basically to convert, looking for some input and some ideas from these folks about how we could convert our system, all of our system to LED, what are some of the costs, how we could cost share with the community and partner with businesses in that regard.
Appreciate that. I don't have any further questions. Councilmember Hard? Okay. Per the practice, I'd like to open the floor to members of the public who filled out a speaker slip that would like to speak or ask questions. I know it's a snowy day, and so we don't have quite the audience that we've had at some other hearings and have not received any speaker slips. So I will move on to closing remarks. I really would like to thank those that were able to attend and those watching at home or rewatching if you go to the YouTube channel to learn more about the Public Utilities budget and this hearing. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Lee, and the other members of the department for the presentation, and also members of the council staff, John Oswalt, Stephanie Magus, Kevin McCain, and Matt Erickson, for making sure I kept things on point. These hearings and information presented are always appreciated as we continue on council to continue through the budget process. I encourage those looking for more information to visit the Department of Public Utilities website at www.columbus.gov/utilities or call 614-645-8276. If you're looking for more information on the overall proposed 2017 operating budget, members of the public can find that online at www.columbus.gov/finance. And you can always call my office at 614-645-8084 or email me at mstenziano@columbus.gov. Thank you all for being here. For those interested, we will have our Judiciary Committee budget hearing again in the chamber at 7 p.m. tonight, if anyone wants to stick around. With that, this hearing is adjourned.